Hi, this is Greg from In5D, and today's topic is called Channeling Negative Entities. It's really hard to discern who is actually channeling entities and who is making up pure and utter bullshit. But a common clue would be to avoid those who consistently give false hopes and promises, such as the mass landing of Pleiadians or anyone who talks about NESARA. I'm also a little leery when a channeler uses slang or expressions without clarifying it with something like, as you would say on your planet. Also, watch out for any channeler who mentions politics and specifically any politician's name. This doesn't mean that any given channeler isn't telling the truth, it's just my own discernment for bullshit. It's quite possible that some channelers are getting disinfo from their source, which leads the channeler to give false hopes and promises. It's also possible that the channeler isn't channeling anyone and is making it all up as they go. This is where you really need to use discernment. Overall, I enjoy the positive messages that channelers give, but some just strike me as hot air and bullshit. Once again, use your own discernment. I wrote an article called Channeling Through the Bullshit, but I never published it because I don't want to call out anyone specifically, which I did several times in this article. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure if they're channeling negative entities or are getting bad information or if they're simply full of it. So in the best interest of everyone involved, I decided not to publish that article. Despite my own discernment, most of the messages are positive, but it somewhat bothers me when I see them making false promises and leading the viewers on. That being said, I know several channelers who are amazing. One is Max Apodaca, who connects his higher self to your higher self to diagnose any physical problems you may be having. I was a little skeptical and I tested Max when I first met him. Without telling him my issues, I called him and asked if he could see what my problem was. He went quiet for about a minute. Then he told me that I was having lower back issues and that my left leg was slightly smaller than my right leg. He recommended that I use a heel lift in my left shoe. What he didn't know beforehand is that I have a sciatica nerve issue in my lower back, and when I put the lift in my shoe, the pain went away. I know another channeler who channels multidimensional beings and is very accurate. Her name is Sherry Goodkin, and her latest entity goes by the name of Mother Mary, although this entity isn't a religious or biblical entity. She's been amazingly accurate in guiding Sherry in all of Life Matters, as Sherry told me some personal things that haven't yet occurred, but did occur shortly after her channeling with Mother Mary. Psychic Sean Cohan is another amazing person who has the ability to channel people from the other side of the veil. During a session with Sean, she told me many things that only me and my family would know, so she's definitely for real. Personally, I know channeling is for real because I've been doing it unintentionally since I was a child. Now, I didn't talk a lot about this until recently because as a child and family therapist, the medical field would assume I'm having some sort of schizophrenic episode. But what I can tell you is that since I was a child, I always heard muffled voices right before I was about to fall asleep, as if these voices were in the room next to me, and I knew there wasn't anybody in that room. Anyway, a few years ago, I heard this voice again, and this time it was loud and clear. I keep a pen and a notebook on my bed to record my dreams, so when I heard this voice, I began to have a conversation with it. The voice was kind of androgynous, almost like a male and a female voice wrapped up into one. One of my first questions was, how is it possible that I'm able to communicate with you? They told me that when I'm about to fall asleep, my brain goes into the alpha rhythm, which makes it easier to communicate with me. I also asked where they are from, and they told me Zeta Reticuli, Quadrant Z. Now, at the time, I didn't think that this was even a place until after the session when I looked it up online and saw that it actually is a star cluster. Also, as you're thinking about the questions, they're already answering them. As I was about to ask, how is this possible? They told me that they use telepathy and are cognizant about what I'm thinking about before I say it. So, anyway, I personally know that channeling is for real, and I firmly believe that anyone can do this if they can master keeping their mind in the alpha brainwave. Now that we covered that, let's talk about channeling negative entities. Is it possible for some of these better-known channelers to be channeling negative entities? Definitely. In the article that I posted in the more info section of this video, a group consciousness known as An have been tapping into certain individuals with their negative energies. Now, apparently An is the negative incarnation of Ra from the Law of One. The bottom line is that when you're channeling, you can never be 100% sure of the intentions of the entity who's providing any information to you. There are many negative entities who may at first give solid and reliable information, but they may have ulterior motives that are not in our best interests. What do you think of channeling? Are there any channelers who you really enjoy? Which ones do you think are full of hot air and bullshit? Have you ever channeled? Leave your comments below this video. That's it for now. This is Greg from N5D.